No agenda, no bull crap, just real conversations. Thank you for joining us for the Middle of the Street podcast.
And we're having fun.
We are. We just haven't done it for a minute.
Man.
I really want to start off, Ish, with
Get it.
Huge congratulations to John Goodwin.
Oh, Brother John. He won.
He won. His first probably political campaign.
I think it was.
And he's going to do great things for Lincoln Public Schools.
Yeah.
It's his guidance and leadership on the school board will be phenomenal. And I'm very proud to say I know the man and consider the man a friend.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to give that shout out early on because
beautiful.
I'm pretty excited for him.
Yeah, congrats to Brother John Goodwin. He won first district school board. That's the Northeast District of Lincoln. And so he is now the school board representative on the Northeast District. Big applause to John. It's big. So that is huge. Thank you for opening that up. And it's really great to start off something with some with some giving some gratitude and some salutations to other people. That's beautiful.
You know, I got to toss another one out there, really to you, because it made me think a lot. You did a really cool Facebook story time on Rich.
Ooh, that I remember that.
And, you know, it always makes me ponder because we talk about taxing the rich. And I think people get confused between wealth and rich. Wealth is great sums of money to me. Rich is just rich in life. Winning the day, winning the moment, as yours was eloquently written about winning some family time with your son and some of his buddies, and you know that type of richness is pure because it comes from your heart.
This is true.
I mean, when you talk about wealth, that's a financial statement on paper, and it has meaning. I don't want to downplay that for anybody.
Yeah.
But being rich like that in family is really cool. And recognizing it. So congratulations to you for recognizing it.
Oh, wow. Well, you know, it takes a minute sometimes. And I should have listened to Bob Marley a long time ago when he was talking about it, right? But yeah, it did just dawn upon me. And I think it has to do, seriously, with I've been being more mindful of, I've just been listening to a podcast, and he was talking about being more mindful and having more gratitude, and how one of the things that the devil does is takes the gratitude from you. And so the devil attacks your amount of gratitude and the way that you're thankful for things. And so if you allow the devil to get in and do that, then you stay in this wanting more, needing more, and not being grateful for just what you have. And so I was listening to that, and then I was sitting in the beautiful weather, and I was getting grounded. I had my bare feet on the grass, and all the kids were sitting around the fire, and I realized, what do people work for, right? And it's kind of like the story. I was in Pine Ridge, and Brian Deans told me a story. He said, so there was the native guy, old guy, and he's sitting there and he's fishing. And then this other guy, this new guy coming over, new to the Americas, came over and was like, hey, you know what? If you get a few poles, then you can catch a lot of fish, not just one fish at a time. And the native guy's like, well, I don't want to do that. He's like, well, because if you do that, then you can buy a boat. Then you go out there in the middle of the pond and you can catch a whole bunch of more fish with all your poles too. He's like, okay, well, what will I do after that? He said, well, then you can buy a whole bunch of boats and get a fleet and hire a bunch of people, and they'll all catch you a whole bunch of fish, and you go sell them for a whole bunch of prices. Okay, well, then what do I do? He's like, well, then you can buy even more equipment and more of a fleet, and you can be stinking rich. He's like, okay, great. So once I get stinking rich, right, once I have all the money and I get stinking rich, then what? He's like, well, then you can just sit back and chill and just fish all day. He's like, but I'm fishing now, like right now. And so that replayed through my head too. It was like, shit, I'm trying to run the rat race all the time. And it's like, for what? For just sitting around a fire. That didn't cost much money to sit around a fire. And I know we have a beautiful home in a backyard, but literally you could have that type of sustainability almost anywhere on God's green earth with a darn fire around and a place to sit.
It's stopping to smell the roses, man. Just,
yeah.
We get so caught up in life and things are going by at, 2 million mile an hour, and we forget about the simple things, including gratitude.
Yes.
Including doing things for other people, not out of generosity, but just because it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
People forget about doing the right thing sometimes because they don't get the instant satisfaction because they get caught up in the moment. They don't stop and say, hey, I'm just stopping to help this person.
Sure.
I mean, yesterday, running around, Ivy's with me. Ivy's my 2-year-old black or chocolate lab. And I was whipping up to her and I were going to do a little bit of work.
Yeah.
And as I'm coming down, I see a guy, not too old, probably 10-year-old Tahoe. Mm-hmm. He's got the hood up right there where I pull in. And so I'm whipping up there anyway, but I get out and say, hey, man, is everything okay? You need. He said, no. Happened to be I would say mid-40s black guy. Mm-hmm. And I kind of startled him, I think. And I'm like, oh, man, if you just needed some help, I said, I'm actually just stopped here to let my dog run. But if you need some help, you need a jump or something, just let me know. And he's like, oh, man, I really appreciate it. But I really don't. Everything's good. I was just checking my oil cap because I put some oil in it. And make sure. I said, man, just have a blessed day. And he said, thank you so much. Yeah. And I said, it's the little things that we can do human to human. Yeah. Regardless of race, religion, political affiliation, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Because we're all humans, man. At the end of the day, we all kind of want the same thing. We all want to live free, happy.
Think so. I think so. 100%. 100%. You got some stats for us. Well, we're going to get into some numbers because everybody wants to talk numbers. What we say, men lie, women lie. Numbers don't lie.
So it's doing a little bit of research. I came across Mr. Baumert's USA Facts.
Okay.
And I'm always very interested in how much money we bring in as a government, how much goes out. Mm-hmm. I don't understand how we continually create more revenue.
Okay.
But we outspend that newly created revenue. Well, really,
we never catch up to what we spend. Yeah, we're always behind.
We're always behind in it, and it's grown exponentially since COVID by trillions of dollars.
It's kind of like a pimp, like his streetwalker walks the streets all night, does all this work, does all this money, brings all this money, but she always just a little behind of what the pimp says it costs for the expenses.
So it's kind of interesting. When you look at let's talk about the revenue side first.
All right, hit him.
So we bring in 4.9, roughly $5 trillion worth of income.
That's a lot of money.
Into our federal government.
That's a lot of money.
That's all paid by all of us.
Yeah.
Corporations pay a part of it, about $530 billion. There's some other miscellaneous things in there. The largest chunk of that money comes from individual income taxes. Okay. And I actually did a little bit of a dive into that. So if you dive into that individual income tax piece, I just was having a little conversation with somebody, so I want to pull back up my data because I ran some numbers the other day.
He's punching those numbers, y'all.
Well, I was, just trying to get a grasp because, we always talk about the 1%.
Yeah.
And what that 1% means.
Okay.
And it was basically the 1%ers, which if you look at 1%, that's actually like 3.3 million people.
Okay.
In the United States, it's not like it's an insignificant number of people.
Okay.
They pay $1 trillion of that individual income tax.
So they pay
basically 40-some% of it. Of the 2.3 trillion individual income tax, they pay about $1 trillion of it.
Okay.
From those 3.3 million people who are the 1%ers of our country. Make sense?
So they pay almost half, you're saying?
Yeah, 40%.
40%.
The crazy part about it is, as I was looking at it, their wealth is about $47 trillion. Sorry about $47 trillion is their total wealth. So their net worths added up is that much money, which is
that a lot?
That's a lot.
How much money is in America when it comes to the citizens? If they have 47 trillion, how much percentage of the money do they have?
I think when you look at different statistics, and I didn't look at that one specifically, but I'm sure they've got 60, 70% of the wealth.
Well, my question is, did you just say that we make 5 trillion? Did you not get there yet?
We pay in $5 trillion to the federal government.
So America, the federal government, they recoup from the citizens. I shouldn't say recoup. They take from the citizens?
Yeah, some people say taxation's theft, but regardless.
Hold on. They collect from the citizens. Okay. Put in the comments what you want me to say. They collect from the citizens 5-point-something trillion dollars, okay, each year, right? And so to do that, 300 million citizens, I know they're not collecting from everyone, but let's say they're collecting from all these citizens, and to get to the wealth of 70 trillion, but that
47 trillion.
Oh, it's 47, not 70.
Yeah, 47 trillion is
47 trillion. So they would have to. So that'd be like 1%. 9 years of revenue that America's pooling. It's 9 consecutive years.
If they seized 100% of their wealth,
wow,
it would only last 9 years, which is pretty amazing if you think about that.
But that's still crazy. I think that that's how much money 3.3 million people have. Is $47 trillion. That's a lot of money.
Well, that's what they have on paper.
Okay, sure.
That's so their wealth.
Yeah, like investments. They might, tomorrow,
properties,
yesterday, it could be less, whatever. It could be more.
Yeah.
Now, here's my question, I guess, with that. I mean, that's wild. Like, these are just wild numbers. Cool numbers. Or gross, however you say it. I have no problem with people getting wealth. What's the percentage, like you were saying, compared to the rest of the people? How much do those people have? And then what's 3.3 million, right? 47 trillion. What's that break down to? I wonder what the average that breaks down to, as in per person. How much wealth is that per person? That's that's crazy bit of math, dude. I wonder if ChatGPT can do that math.
Probably. I mean, if we dig into that,
I bet ChatGPT can.
But it's a real number. So we go to that, and then we go to payroll taxes. So payroll taxes are also part of that $5 trillion. So we've got corporate taxes. We've got some customs and estate, inheritance and those types of things. And the next really big bucket the second biggest bucket is payroll taxes, which is Social Security, Medicare taxes.
Okay.
And in that, we bring in about $1.7 trillion.
Whew. It's a lot of money.
And that's everybody that's in a payroll.
$1.7 trillion.
Everybody that gets a payroll check is paying that.
So if you getting a check every 2 weeks, every Friday, every month, like teachers, okay, you're paying that payroll tax.
Just like you do, just like I did when I worked.
Okay.
Yeah. So then we go to that. So that's kind of the revenue side that makes things up. Mm-hmm. And then we go to the expense side, which, basically.
That's when
we're about $2 trillion over what we bring in.
Per year
since COVID.
Ooh.
Since COVID.
Ooh. $2 trillion.
We're pretty static line revenue. Debt kind of was staying pretty flatlined.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit. Boom.
Then we're $2 trillion over almost for COVID every time now.
And have been for 4 years.
So how come we can't rein it in?
Huge question. And I think that's where we've fallen awry in some places. So
okay, really quick. Trump is supposed to rein that in. You got Doge to rein that in and all that. Is it true? I just saw a headline that we're $100 million or $100 billion past what we spent last time at this time, in the first 100 days, whatever, right? Is it true we've spent more money?
Oh, I'm
okay,
sure.
They're saying that we spent more money now than what Biden spent in his first, basically comparatively.
Well,
they haven't saved money. They haven't saved any money yet.
No.
They spent more money.
Well,
does it cost money to save money?
Well, we're still spending based on the last fiscal year budget. So they're trying to rein in. So all the people that they've are eliminating from jobs within the federal government,
Yeah.
we won't see any of that till September.
That doesn't show till the next fiscal year.
Well, it won't show up till September because they said we're going to pay you through September and then you're done.
So what about when they just cut in like they say they cut what's the UNICEF or something, right? They cut in the contract, boom. That doesn't show yet because it's already spent
Because they've already spent it in the budget.
But we're going to get it back for the next year or what?
Well,
Like, what happens?
they're hoping they're going to rake it back. But that's kind of the big. That's what all these lawsuits are about.
Because people are upset, like let's say,
But you can't. They're saying you cannot take that money back in
Yeah.
because Congress already appropriated it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of whack to me, but I kind of understand it.
I mean, so all the cuts that have happened can't be shown yet because first thing, some of them won't be shown until September. You're saying
All the head count stuff.
Okay. Then second thing, when it comes to the contracts that have been cut off, that can't hit the books yet right now because money's just still in limbo.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yep. Exactly.
Bam.
So it's sitting out there appropriated.
Okay.
Now, are they going to be able to rake that back in? Maybe.
Okay. So when they're saying that they spent more money, yes, this is true. And will we maybe see a decrease in spending because of the actions that have happened? That may also be true. We have to wait till September to see the numbers.
Yep. We won't, and it's kind of like the same thing. To me, it's the same thing with the tariff thing. Until probably late this year, September, October, November, before we really see where the tariffs shake out at, where we really see where some of these lawsuits of if they can claw this money back or not.
Is China still staying strict against us?
Well, we're supposed to be meeting with China, I think, in France. I think we're meeting with Paris this week.
Ooh.
What all that's going to entail, who knows?
croissant.
But it's a conversation.
Okay.
Not she and Trump, but underlings and underlings.
Sure.
So
Sure.
when we look at the expense side, I mean, I find it really interesting. In safety is the tagline from USA Facts.
Okay.
It's $105 billion in safety. Crime and disaster is $95 billion. Safeguards is $10.2 billion. So crime and disaster, disaster relief, justice system, corrections, and law enforcement. Disaster relief being $42 billion of that, $23 billion of it being law enforcement, $9 billion of it being corrections, and $19 billion of it being justice system. Pretty amazing. I mean, those were big numbers to me. I was just kind of...
It's big numbers.
was
Those are
taken
big
back.
numbers. Costs a lot of money to lock people up.
And then underneath that is also safety, which is consumer protection, employee protection, and other business things, and then patents and copies. So I'm not 100% sure exactly how that breaks down. But
It really cost us a lot of money the way that we run our justice system because we pay so many darn people, kind of like a communist system in Russia where you're just paying a door holder to hold another door to usher you into the next place, to somebody to brush off your seat, for you to sit down. And that's how we have the justice system, when we have so many different cogs in the machine that have to first fiddle out and fit in their money. And to be honest, when we privatized it, it made it horrible too, because the recidivism is just horrible. And, I usually like the private market, but to privatize something like criminal justice where you're punishing
for profit.
people, you're punishing people that you do a crime, that you maybe even make a crime for, that is just to make it, to make a crime so you can punish someone to make a profit. But
Are you talking about Kamala Harris?
well, yeah, I'm talking about every single person that rolls with the prison industrial system. But here's the thing, is if you continue the recidivism because you're punishing and not disciplining, right? You're not teaching. You're just trying to hold somebody away from their family or loved ones, or put them in the cages. I don't know if you've seen how our penitentiaries are, and the type of inhumane situations there are. But the problem is, like you may know, is we have the same facilities for rapists and pedophiles that we do for people who do tax evasion or driving suspended license.
Well, to me, there's two big, the criminal justice system from a penal complex You have county. You actually have local, city, municipality. You have county facilities. Then you have state facilities, and you have federal facilities.
Mm-hmm.
So federal prisons are different from state, and state different from.
Sure.
But we have all these levels of bureaucracy within our penal system, which it's kind of like anything else. We have really bad outcomes.
We do, and all these systems have in some ways been privatized, depending on which place you get sentenced to.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that's really crazy is, they could spend literally $3 to $4 on an inmate per day, but be charging $4,000 per month, or be charging $60,000 to $80,000 per year. But it only costs them a few $1,000s to actually house them per year because of the horrible amount of nutrition and the.
Well, once the facility, the facilities are the biggest expense in keeping the facilities to standards. That's, not to digress, but it's like Trump saying, hey, let's open back up, prison he was going to open up in California. The Rock.
San Quentin?
No, San Quentin's still open. The Rock. It's in the Bay. You drive.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. San Francisco.
Bay.
You can't. People have. Geez, I can't. I don't know why it's not coming to me too.
It just blanked me out too, man.
It's gonna come during our conversation.
It'll come.
Face Off was shot there. The Nicolas Cage, John Travolta joint.
Yep.
Remember? I think that's called Face Off.
Sean Connery was there.
Yep.
On The Rock.
Yeah. I know exactly.
Great movie.
Jeez. But here's my thing. If you just continue to open up prisons, you're feeding the same problem instead of getting to the root of the cause. And that is, crime is created when you have and have-nots. When you do not have systems where there's poverty, there's not overriding crime because people aren't doing things to try to get to the top. Of course, you're going to have your outliers and things like that, but not at the height of what we do. I think we still have a third of all the world's prison population in our country, right? I'm pretty sure the third of all of the world's incarcerated people are in America, and we only have 350 million people in the country.
330, yeah.
Seriously. And so, obviously our systems aren't working. So I don't want to double down on systems. It'd be great to change these systems, of course, to rehabilitation and to stop making things criminal just for profit, just to make things criminal.
So I'll digress a little bit here. So we have approximately 38 million people in the United States that live at or below the poverty line.
38 million?
38 million.
Which is like 10% over 10% of America?
Little over 10%. Little over 10%. We spent in Ukraine the last, 4 years. We spent 168 billion, so a little over $40 billion a year.
That's probably conservative, right?
It is. It's very conservative. So theoretically, we could have moved the poverty line up a tremendous amount. Could have given 38 million people $1 billion.
And I know what you mean, because money doesn't solve it, right?
That's correct.
But I know what you mean. Bringing this money into the communities for educational purposes, for housing purposes, because I don't believe that people having access to food is enabling. I just think that, I don't think that's an enabling thing. But what I mean is having the ways to help people make the means that they can feel justified, they can feel dignified, so they can feel dignified in creating for themselves and being able to let people play offense.
So you think about it, we have 38 million people out or below poverty. What do you think we spend in SNAP and other nutritional programs annually?
I mean, what is it? Is it 100 billion?
98 billion and some change.
Ishmael, you're pretty on.
You're pretty close.
Pretty on.
But
there's a lot of hillbillies on SNAP.
Well, I look at it and I'm like, obviously a lot of that's getting eaten up in bureaucracy.
You mean like the wages for the people to distribute it, for the
Yeah.
for the software, for the systems, for the blah 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 blah,
Blah, blah, blah, yeah.
for the payback? Am I not mistaken? My father told me back in the day, anyway, a store that accepts the SNAP benefit, the food stamp is what it used to be.
Used to be a food stamp,
a real actual,
not EBT.
It was a real cool paper money that you all knew was not money. Anyways, so but if the food coupon, it was called. So if you had the food coupon, you give it to them. Every dollar that you give them, the government would give them $2 for.
I don't know.
That's what it used to be, he said. I don't know if that's still true, but maybe that eats up still some of it as well. It was like, and it was an incentive for places to accept them.
But you think about that. So we've got 38 million people at or below poverty, and in food, we're spending
$100 billion.
$100 billion.
Which part of that also isn't, if I'm not mistaken, part of that is also given to farmers in some way too.
Not SNAP.
No, not SNAP. Are you sure that's not with food subsidies?
Yeah.
I'm pretty.
So, well, that's all under that.
I saw
so
type of
under that whole thing. You can kind of see what all's underneath that.
because somebody.
So that standard of living is what that's going through. So the egg subsidies. So when we talk about
I saw something where someone said that
they talk about the farm bill.
Part of the SNAP gets somehow distributed and helps farmers as well.
No. So that's talking about the farm bill, which
is SNAP under the farm bill.
SNAP is inside the farm bill. So of the farm bill, it's about 17% and some change that go to agriculture, growers, producers. About 18% of that number. But by far the majority of that is SNAP.
The SNAP.
Yeah.
People got to eat. People got to eat.
So what do you suppose we spend on refugee assistance?
Okay, well, I was good on the SNAP. Let's see, refugee assistance. Let me go to 18 billion.
Yeah, just under 5.
Oh, I was too high. I thought we were giving too much.
Unemployment insurance.
Okay, go ahead and give it to me because I'm off.
$31 billion.
Unemployment insurance. When people are unemployed, they still get their insurance. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's paid. What I don't understand in that unemployment insurance line is every employer has to pay into that, and so it's coming in. It's
like double dipping for the government.
Well, it's coming in and then it's going out in that same line. So that shouldn't be a deficit spending thing.
Doe's gonna handle that.
Well, it's not. It's kind of like Social Security. I mean, the payroll taxes, and when you look at Social Security and Medicare together, it's about $1.6 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
So our current payroll taxes cover that pretty much. It's a little bit down now from what it was because we have less people paying in than collecting, but that's just because of baby boomers and that whole birth.
The shift is
scenario.
happening. Shift is happening. So, okay. So, big picture here, can you go to government spending? Military spending.
Military spending is $1.3 trillion. National defense directly is about $877 billion.
The 1.3 trillion.
So about
of the 7 trillion we're spending now.
6.8.
So we're spending 7 and 1. So I felt like it used to be like over half the spending was going to military.
Well, even if it went back to the revenue side, it's about 25%. So national defense itself, that's really the military piece for our soldiers, for our military, is about $877 billion.
But that still includes all the bases and everything because they count all that.
So foreign aid is almost $72 billion.
So my thing is
immigration is $26 billion.
It's a lot of money. That's like ICE and shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so people, damn.
ICE and assistance.
Look,
all of
you got $26 billion and ain't secured not a damn thing. Anyways, what is? I wonder. I would like to see some of these other numbers shifted up. I would like to see the drastic change because I used to see figures where the military budget was darn near 50% of the whole budget that we had going, and it was wild. So we've shifted that to 25. That's amazing. I would like to see when that shift happened. Somebody comment when that shift happened, or am I crazy and it was never that high? Help me out, y'all. Is this the Mandela effect for me? Okay.
And then of the 6.8, the other one that was pretty big to me is there's a 1.1 trillion that gets transferred back to the states.
And then states spend the money on different things that they want to. What's something that you would like to see when you see money shifted back to the states, right? What would something that you would like to see your state do with that money? If money is shifted back to states and you have to spend it, right? What would you like to see it do?
It'd be interesting. I mean, here's kind of the breakdown allegedly. So back to the states, it's about 2.2 trillion support to veterans, 32 billion to crime and disaster, safeguarding. I'm not exactly sure what that is. It's 271 million. Economy and infrastructure, 112 billion. So that would make sense. That's roads and bridges on federal highways and state highways.
Okay.
That kind of makes sense to me. The standard of living one, I'm a little bit. I don't necessarily understand that data in the standard of living one. So it's banking and finance. I'm not sure why we subsidize banking and finance.
Because they got to get their money.
Community, technology, infrastructure, I kind of get that. Medical assistance, public health. Those kind of all make sense.
It's a lot of money.
Medicare, it's about 600 billion.
It's a lot of money.
Or Medicaid, I mean.
Medicaid, yeah.
Medicaid and CHIPS.
Yeah, got to let people get their in.
Again, we have refugee assistance in there of another $2.2 billion.
$2.2 billion.
So when you look at the refugee and all of that, I mean, it'd be interesting to break it down and total all those things out.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get into, education, higher education, elementary, all of those type things.
That's a heck of a breakdown. That is a heck of a breakdown. When people wonder where the money is going, you can definitely see that where the money going on usafacts.org, usafacts.org, and they have a pretty good source of a breakdown of where the money's going. So you can see exactly where it's going and what happening. Well, not exactly, but you can see the bulk of the 5,000 square foot view, right? The 5,000 foot view from up above. You can see that bird's eye view about what's happening. And they charted out pretty cool.
Yeah, and Steve Ballmer, has really put this together. God bless him. Ex-Microsoft executive. The guy's worth a tremendous amount of wealth.
He's one of those one percenters.
He's probably more of the 0.1 percenters, but he is basically trying to figure out where our government spends money. And he's got some other tabs across here of economy, crime, health, population, education, defense, security. It's really pretty cool. And I came across this and I just want to talk about it some because I think it's really pretty interesting. He has some YouTube videos with it, but it's pretty interesting of how he kind of breaks down where our money's going and why. And his whys has a lot of big open slots because he hasn't figured it all out. He's a very, very, very intelligent man.
Yeah.
I don't personally know him. But this is information that's out there, and most all of his data is all coming from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. So pretty solid sources. Not much hidden there. But it's amazing when you go back to the percent of GDP, how COVID really spiked us. The 80s and the 90s were a little bit tough.
Yeah.
We just had really bad economies. But
then you feel like that COVID just really kind of pushed it over the top.
And you can see it. Just look at that.
When it comes to
when
the
COVID
spending,
hit.
it just really goes crazy.
Well, our GDP, we went back well over 100% of GDP.
Well, what's this?
World War II.
Yeah, oops, my bad. So it says World War II, and then I messed up the whole graph, huh? Players mess up.
I'll go back to it.
But the thing is you haven't seen a spike like that since World War II, huh?
Yeah.
That's crazy. And I don't know. Put it like this: every day the type of differences that you see daily when it comes to people's lives, right?
It looks like it was 1945. The last time we were near 120% of GDP, and 21. Well, in 2020 we went above 120, and we've stayed above 120% of GDP, and that's not
crazy.
healthy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
To give everybody a little bit of a data point, 1940, before we really entered the war, we were at about 45% of GDP income. So it was a really solid ratio. We got that all the way back down to about 20% in the mid 70s. Ishma, of course, doesn't remember the economy, but the 70s had a pretty great economy. It's kind of like the coming of a second revolution, because we were really starting to get into, computers were starting to come out. We were starting to be more electronics. There was a lot of that stuff happening. Then the 80s happened when the economy really, really, really tumbled. And then we started building some debt. But even by 2000, 20 years ago,
we're at 70%.
We were under 60%.
Wow.
Of GDP. So we've doubled it. In 20 years, we've doubled that debt to that spending to GDP. And when you look at the revenue that comes in, that we pay into the federal government, it has continually went up every year. But we are just spending at an unsustainable rate to what we're taking in.
Sure.
So one side politically is saying we need to tax the rich more.
Okay.
The other side politically is saying, wait a minute, we got to figure out how to spend less money. Hence Doge came in. They've identified a lot of stuff. They've had a whole bunch of lawsuits against them for, what they're doing. The Supreme Court's had to weigh in more than I can ever remember on pretty minimal things, or pretty reasonable things, I think. But, there's just so many fights in the courts over it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the deportation thing. And I think Trump's only deported like a couple 100,000. Mm-hmm. And they're saying that everybody deserves due process.
Yeah.
The deporter-in-chief, Barack Obama, who deported over 3 million people.
That's a lot of people.
Only less than 25% of them got any due process.
That's 1% of America. No. But really quick, though. So you're saying he did 3 million people. That's like literally almost like that's like 1% of America.
No.
At that time.
It'd be like a 0.1.
People?
0.1. 10% would be 300, would be 30 million.
30 million. Yeah. So 3.5 million would be
1%. Yeah, you're right.
1%.
You're pretty close.
We're close. Close to 1%. But see, that was back then too. It wasn't as many people.
Yeah.
So he literally almost, like, I'm just trying to give a scope of what 1 million people looks like.
Yeah.
That looks like almost like 1% of America. That's like 1 out of 100 people in America got deported.
And then
that's a lot.
That's a lot. And then during Biden's tenure, they let 10 million in.
Well, that's good. That's
10
good.
to 10
that's
to
a good little fluctuation.
10 to 15 million.
That's a good little fluctuation.
But now they're saying that we have to give due process to everybody. If they murdered somebody and they're here illegally, you can't send them back. You have to. If we spend our tax dollars, you have to understand they're here illegally. Okay. They don't have any money.
Okay.
So we have to supply them an attorney.
Okay.
We're going to tie up attorneys on both sides that we taxpayers are going to be paying for. Mm-hmm. We're going to be tying up the courtrooms for people that shouldn't be here. They're here illegally.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that if I go to Europe, into some countries illegally, I don't think they're going to give me due process.
If you?
Yeah.
Oh. But some people, when other people do, a lot of times they do. Okay, 100%. I always go back to the root. And I say, why am I not trying to skip our borders and rush into Mexico or into Honduras or into wherever? Why am I not trying to sneak into Canada? Why am I not trying to sneak over to Spain? And I try to think about that. And I say, because these countries haven't destabilized mine. When I get to the root, Why would somebody want to walk 4 months in a jungle or 5 months through jungle, through desert, through cartel, risk their life, risk getting raped, beaten, whatever it is, whoever you are? Why would you want to walk that far to a place that's going to be cold a lot of times? As you go into, you're just coming out of paradise, literally, to a place that's going to be cold. You're not going to know the language. You're going to get berated. You're going to get discriminated against. And you're going to be a criminal as soon as you cross. Why would you do that? Obviously, because life is so much worse there, or you believe it's going to be so much better here.
Perceived.
You believe it's going to be so much better here. Your life is going to be so much better here. Now, and why are those Central American countries and South American countries and Mexico so ravaged? And if we go back to all these people that are coming from these countries and why they're coming, it's because we've destabilized them. What I mean by that is we've had coups. Instead of them being communists and being able to nationalize their resources and do their things, we said, no, we have to, we had the fight against how we had to have this war against communism and war against socialism. Everybody has to be a democratic republic, and we have to funnel money to Contras and these other people. And we destabilize places. And now, 20 years later, 30 years later, those ravaged kids, that's the product. The product is despair, poverty, and MS-13. That's the product.
We think we can buy other governments to be like ours. But we're buying corruption.
Yes.
We're spending money on corruption. Mm-hmm. Maybe our government has picked,
and they may listen to us.
Maybe our government's picked the best possible evil, but it's still evil.
And I believe it seems historically they've picked the people that are going to do business the best for us.
At that given time, in that president's, that interior's opinion.
And now that has came into this.
Yeah.
Now it's flooded into so many people, and some of them bad, some of them good, some of them horrible, some of them great. And it's funneled into this thing to where it's unimaginable to now try to filter. It's unimaginable to try to say, okay, we're trying to deport. If he wants to deport 10 million people, right? What's just the sheer math of sending 10 million people in front of a judge, court, The sheer math of that is outrageous.
And let's just say that 10% of them are the criminals that need to go quickly. They've gotten deportation notices because they've broken our laws in other ways other than coming here illegally, breaking that law. Mm-hmm. We're going to tie up and waste trillions more dollars, trillions more of debt for it.
Well, somebody has to be reasonable, right? And it has to say, okay, we have to make, and this is why governments are usually supposed to make deals within each other. And they say, okay, let's be reasonable. We really think 10% of these people are really bad people that need to leave, right? Okay, so let's just say that. And then they say, okay, well, let's make this deal here. People that we have real rap sheets on, or that have committed a crime, we can kick out immediately, can go hunt down, for lack of a better term, and kick out immediately. And we'll give you people that have a job or are here with a family, blase blase. We'll leave them alone. They're not first priority. We'll leave them alone for and we'll keep going through the process. But instead, it's like nobody wants to give anything. Both sides are like, nope, we're going to take whoever we want no matter what. And these other people are like, nope, you're not going to take anybody no matter what. Like, I don't care if he's a rapist and you can prove it. He gets to stay here and you have to send him through a bunch of courts.
And is it, again, Barack Obama had virtually no pushback of sending 3 million people away. So is this just because it's Trump?
Well,
are we that polarized?
Well, of course. And here's another thing. Of course. Now, let's keep it real, because I try to keep things real, right? And I try to really think through things, right? So let's keep it real. Mr. Barack Obama, okay? Let's just keep it real. I feel like the most polarizing thing that Barack said, or the most like off-kilter thing that Barack said that I can remember, is when he called Kanye West a jackass. And then when he said something like, he did this joke about the Jonas Brothers, and he was like, so I guess somebody talking to his daughter, and he's like, we have these things called predator drones, see? And they go real fast, and they can just or something like that, right? I thought like that was super off kilter. But what I'm trying to say is, give me an example of a time where Barack Obama's been attacking a person's character in public. Give me a time where Barack Obama's been brash and just outlandishly wild with his speech in public.
Was never publicly. It was always privately.
He was very polished to the public.
Oh, he was a politician.
But not only that, no, but just even as an eloquent speaker, as a person, let's just keep it real. He was very polished when it came to policy, when it came to what he was trying to do. Now, what I mean about this is, whether you agree with the policy or not, when he's saying we're going to deport these people, right? He's saying, look, they've broken laws, and we have laws in America, and we need to protect our borders, and we need to keep our borders strong for our security of America, and this is why we're going to do this. Let's just keep it real. Trump's like, these are bad people. They suck. They're rapists. They're horrible. They all need to go. They've been ruining America. They didn't build America. They're not supposed to be in America. These are very bad people. They're just horrible people. There's a difference in that.
The delivery.
But what I'm saying is there's a difference in that, right? So if somebody comes to you and they say, hey, Mark, hey, I'm sorry, man. Could you please not park here? Because, it really kind of obstructs my view a little bit. And I'm just trying to do this. I know we're neighbors. I know this is, a public street, so you don't have to really not park here. But could you please not? Or the neighbor says, hey, you're always a jackass. You just park there and you're not thinking about me at all. What are you going to want to do?
Again,
Right?
It's the delivery.
So I think that's what Trump's problem is his delivery. Now, I take it to, here's the thing. Some people love that.
Well, but here you go.
Some people love that.
But and people loved Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Lots and lots. I mean,
just like they love Trump.
Well, Barack Obama, though, I mean, Joe Biden's the only person that's ever got more votes than him.
Big Joe. Hey, baby, if
please.
you're doing that, can you give me some more coffee?
Please.
Coffee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But yes, please. So
Big Joe.
I mean, it's the same thing. But who dropped more bombs? What president was in charge and dropped more bombs?
Barack beat everybody
By a bunch.
I know he beat everybody. Barack Obama, like the bomb. Is in
worse than Ronnie Reagan.
No, seriously.
I know.
Seriously, like they playing with us, and people don't understand they playing with us. Like Barack Obama is no. I know you might think I'm crazy, but
look it up, man. He bombed more. He dropped more bombs than anybody in our history.
I'm just saying, presidents are picked, and that name was picked for a reason.
Yep.
But he's gonna do it. But thank you so much, baby. That was
Thank
beautiful.
you, dear.
Look right over the sound thing too. She's confident. She don't care.
Thank you.
Beautiful. No, 100%. But he did it eloquently, man. He bombed you nicely. His bombs. Hey, look, his planes had a peace sign on them. Pops. It's better when you dying and it's pretty. No, seriously though. I literally have family members and that tell me, he knows what I talk about too. And he tells me, like, I know it's not logical, but I want the racist, when we're talking about like Democrats and Republicans, we're like, I want the racist to lie to me. Like, I want them to pretend they like me. And I'm like, why? Right? He's like, it just makes me feel better or something like that, right? But that's what the Barack Obama to me is. Hey, do you need something? That's what the Barack Obama to me is he just makes you feel better about killing Muammar Gaddafi, right? It makes you feel good because he did it. No facts behind what it is or how devastating it is for Africa or whatever it may be, or for that country. It makes you feel better because he did it.
Well, it made some feel better. It made some feel worse. But it was a minority that it felt worse.
I felt worse, but not till after the fact.
But again, I just, that's what drives me crazy. If you erase and look at the logic of it, the logic is the same.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Trump's delivery's horrible. He's not a polished politician. He's a bully businessman.
Well, no, 100%. But he's a great businessman. Let me not.
Well, he's done well.
That.
He started with a lot of money, and he's done well with it.
Everybody who's a deal maker says he's the best. I don't know. But anyways, but I'm just saying. But anyways, you know how there's some people, they have different, you even have a different intent, but you get the same outcome, right? Because you use the same steps, right? So if my intent is to be healthy, and I work out every day, right? And the next man's their intent is to look awesome and masculine, right? When they work out every day, we're gonna get about the same results, right? And so even if Trump's intent is, or we're both gonna get fit. Okay,
Yeah.
we might not look exactly the same,
Yeah.
but we're both gonna get fit. Especially if we do the same workout every day. We read the same book, we do the same workout. Well, Trump's intentions may be one thing, Barack's may be one thing, but they're doing the same playbook. That's what I mean. They're at the same playbook, and they're doing it well. And they're doing it well.
Verbalizing it. So that's us getting bogged down in the courts, and this is, if it's against the Constitution today, it was against the Constitution 16 years ago, 20 years ago.
Unless it's amended.
Yeah, and it hasn't changed.
When's the last amendment?
It's been a long time since we've amended.
Was it the 70s?
Yeah, it may have been the 60s.
Really? And it takes a lot of people to amend the Constitution.
Yeah.
I mean, 66%, 66?
Yeah.
It's a lot of people. You got to be in agreement there. I really, really, hey, okay, if you could amend the Constitution, have you ever thought about this? If you could amend the Constitution, what would you do?
Well, actually, it was the 7th Amendment, which was ratified May 7th of 1992.
The 7th?
Yep.
27th. Sorry.
27th.
27th.
27th Amendment.
1992, what was it?
I don't know.
Is it affirmative action? That was part of this.
Addresses congressional salary stipends.
Oh, they
can't take it tough. They're like, yeah, it's about Congress's money.
It's about getting money.
Shocker, right? If I could amend the Constitution, one thing
I think I know what you're gonna say.
I would put term limits in for.
I knew you're gonna say
I'd put term limits in.
I knew you're gonna say it.
People cannot stay there forever and just get rich on our backs, and the backs of what are going to be, or my children now, and are going to be my grandchildren.
Yeah, they get rich. They get rich. They get rich.
When you think about it,
they get rich. No,
Joe Biden.
Excuse me. They get wealthy.
Wealthy.
Right? They get wealthy. You're right.
Yeah, they have no idea what being rich is.
You're right.
In life.
You're right.
I mean, you think about Joe Biden
Joe Camel
was involved in federal government for 50 years of my 60 years in life.
He going tough. He's going tough. Hey.
Longer than most people work in a career.
He like Paul McCartney out here. He's still doing shows, baby.
Yeah.
No, seriously, I feel it.
Stones.
He's still touring. I dig it. Eating ice cream and everything.
But that's wild.
No, it is. And it is, career politicians, it is a thing. I'm always split because I always want to believe that there's a good guy that should be doing it forever.
I would like to know from our audience. I mean, please chime in, drop us a line back on a comment of what you think about term limits, or more importantly, what you think about the one amendment you would want in the Constitution. It'd just be interesting read, interesting feedback.
Yeah.
Term
Term
because
limits.
I don't think I'm right on everything by any means.
Hey, look, a lot of people want term limits, Pops. And then here's another thing. Okay, so people going crazy right now about Mr. Trump, President Trump continuing to say that he is not ruling out a third term.
Well, he actually, in the last interview, he said, "Yeah,
Did he say it's over now?"
He said, "I don't see that." But people have been selling these hats.
I'm just saying.
Well, so my theory is,
hold on. Do you think that it shouldn't be allowed though?
No way. It's not. No way.
Well, hold on. Oh, really quick. One more question.
Donald J. Trump cannot run for a third term, but that doesn't mean there won't be a Trump running.
Okay, cool. But here's my thing. What if he turns this shit around so much that we have no deficit? What if he erases the deficit?
No.
You still not down with it? If he erases the deficit?
2 terms. That's our Constitution. We have to stay with those term limits.
I would just say if it gets real good though, erases the deficit,
Well, that doesn't mean we won't have another Trump running.
Yeah, sure. What's his name? Is it gonna be?
Well,
Is it Donnie?
could be Don
Eric?
Jr.
Eric?
Could be Eric.
Eric.
It could be Laura Trump. Or what's the
I don't.
what's the Trump ex-wife that's dating Tiger now?
You-
Maybe she's gonna run. I don't know.
no, they don't want to lose.
They're
not gonna run a woman.
that would be an interesting.
I keep saying that, but who knows?
I'm telling you that we will have a woman president in my lifetime, and it will be a Republican.
Okay.
I have a lot of confidence in that.
You heard it from Pops.
I have a lot of confidence.
You
in
heard
that.
it from Pops. I've consistently said that this nation is more sexist than it is racist. It's a close second, but I'm just saying I just don't see it. I would vote for a woman, easy. I vote for anybody I think is great.
Exactly. I mean,
I voted for Jill Stein a few cycles ago, just because I thought she was the best option I had. So I'll vote for I'll vote for anybody.
yeah. I mean, I'm more concerned about what they want to run on, and I'm.
Did you like Sarah Palin, the vice president pick?
No, I didn't think she was going to be a great.
you like
But I
Sarah
didn't.
Palin.
I didn't think that he was going to be a great president either. But
John McCain?
yeah,
Yeah,
he was a warmonger, man.
we got to get into some. It's not a conspiracy. It's just real facts that people don't know about John McCain. We got to do that another day.
Yeah.
But I loved John McCain's concession speech. Did we talk about that once already? His
We
concession
touched on a
speech?
real high level.
Oh, I loved his concession
but-
speech. But anyway, yeah.
You know, I'm that platform guy that consistently believes in smaller government, less taxes,
Yeah.
not sending our treasure that we have to borrow to other countries,
Okay.
because I just,
And what about wars?
no wars. We don't. I mean, if somebody attacks us, or we do have an alliance with NATO. If somebody attacks a NATO country, kitty bar the door. If somebody attacks us or one of our immediate allies that we have strategic reasons for, Taiwan, I think, is one of those. Japan is
You
one
want
of
to mess
those.
with Japan? I mean, you want to mess with China?
If that's what it takes.
I don't want to fight with China, man.
I don't want to fight with anybody. I mean, I really
but
don't.
if they attack Taiwan, it's like,
Then
that's Taiwan. Okay, if what do you call it? I'm having I don't know,
If she would attack,
if somebody attacked Puerto Rico, who's gonna come help us?
NATO would.
NATO. Do you think we should pull out of NATO?
No.
Do you like NATO?
No, I mean, I'm okay with NATO. I'm just glad that NATO is now stepping up to meet their obligations that they were supposed to have 45 years ago.
Everybody else paying a little more.
Yeah, I mean, they were supposed to be 2% of their GDP. Now they're saying get to 3%. I mean, it's kind of like the whole tariff thing. Tariffs really started Europe and other places post-World War II so that we could help them rebuild. So 1945 is when that kind of started. We allowed them to charge us tariffs so that they could rebuild. So they could generate some money to rebuild their country after World War II. Same thing with Japan. Well, I just think that we've lived with that for too long.
It's time to pull it back, huh?
Well, it's time to
Make it even at least.
it's time to at least get it on a. It needs to be par.
Even with the playing field.
I mean, if it's going to be 2%, it's 2% for everybody.
So what did it look like in the 70s when it came to tariffs? Do you have any inkling of an idea?
They were there. We were still paying. I mean, we were still paying.
Was it more equal is what I'm asking, I guess. Do you know? I wonder because
We weren't charging many tariffs.
no.
No, but we were the big industrial complex.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
like shit was still being made here though.
Oh yeah, but as we globalized, as the economy globalized, because we kind of funded that globalization either through U.S. corporations,
Sure.
or through U.S. tax dollars, ultimately from tariffs. We funded that.
I mean, like when people say like the 70s, literally, it was so much easier to buy a home. It was so much easier just to live life. Like literally, those 70s, that was when you had a good one income That could be a manager at a store. That could be even just an assembly line worker, right?
Well,
And you could have a home and go on a couple vacations, and your wife could stay home, and you could send a kid to school.
Corn price
And maybe 2 cars.
in 1979 hit a record high of $3 a bushel.
Okay. People eating corn or what?
No, just
For feed?
for filling livestock, and it was before ethanol, before any of that stuff. We were exporting it. We were feeding the world.
Corn.
Today, what do you think a bushel of corn's worth today?
Oh, man. Come on.
We're whatever.
I don't
What
even
are
know.
we? We're 50,
What is it?
55 years later.
Okay, what is it?
$4.
What does that mean? Help me out.
Well, so a tractor back then was $10,000. Tractor today is $100,000. Now,
Sure.
yields have went up, probably 2x.
But just point blank, you're not catching up to where you need to be.
Agriculture this year is going to have one of their toughest years ever.
So you're saying that when agriculture does great, the economy does great? Is that what you're saying?
Typically, when ag does really well, everybody does well.
Tell us why, y'all. Do you know why, Pops?
Food. And farmers spend money updating equipment, everything. And they keep, all that money ends up back in the economy. All that money ends up back in the economy. So that's the big problem today that we really have, is you have this group of, I'll say roughly 80% of our population, of everything that they earn, 90% of it, 85%, 90% of it is going back into the economy. They're spending the money. The people at the top that have buku money, a lot's going in, but because their wealth is so high, not the same proportion is going in. Although, now we're talking about two different things. We're talking about income versus wealth.
Yeah.
Now, farmers have also gained a lot of wealth because they don't make any more land. They own a commodity that is made. I used to always say that, but after being to Singapore and some other places where they actually do
Make land. I feel you.
Yeah, they pump sand and rock and stuff in, and
they're not messing around.
they make the island bigger.
They're not messing around. I dig it. That's what they got to do. You got to do what you got to do.
They call it reclaimed, but yeah.
Jeez. Well, that's cool. But no, seriously. So that's the biggest thing or one of the biggest things that you're saying now. It just is harder to make a living these days. You have to do more, I think. That being said, life has easier components as well. Like, when it comes, whether it's just Wi-Fi, whether it just comes to being able to go wherever you want, whenever you want, however you can be connected to the whole world. You can work so much more work from home opportunities, so many more just different entrepreneurial opportunities. The brick and mortar, you don't have to have it used to be, if you're an entrepreneur, it was basically a brick and mortar. You really had to sell a product or a service and go do it. And now there's so many different ways to make money. So I know it goes hand in hand a little bit, but it does just seem like it's so much harder
It's still
to just make ends meet for most people.
But our country is still a great land of opportunity.
There is no better place to make money still.
It's very interesting to me. As I don't think growing up and working, and I was working 60, 70 hours a week, traveling a lot, missing a lot of things at home. Today's generation doesn't want to do that. They want to be home. They don't want to miss a kid's game. They don't, what's important to them in life is different from me. But at the same time, when I drive around our neighborhood and I see pretty young families living in pretty expensive homes with a 4-car garage, and
they're making money though,
big boat, and what I worry about is the thing that the statistics show is their debt is growing and growing and growing, and credit card debt is.
You think they're really not making money? They're really just.
They're buying everything. So at some point, it shifted in sales to consumers, where they started selling things not based on price, based on monthly payment.
Sure.
How many times have you been someplace? Well, this is the payment monthly. No. That's not what I asked you. I asked you how much you wanted for this.
Yeah.
Because if I can't pay for it, I don't want it.
Yeah. Everybody wants to hit you with the monthly.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to hit you with a muff.
And that's easy thing to fall into, but that's why we've got, I think it's like $1.3 trillion in credit card debt.
Yeah.
$1.3 trillion in credit card debt. That means there's $1.3 trillion.
That's the military budget
Oh, that's the
per
whole,
year.
That's the
It's the
whole,
military budget per
whole
year. is what I'm
military
saying.
budget.
Yeah, it's the military budget per year is the credit card debt of America.
And that's debt. That isn't people that's putting money through their credit card.
Sure. That's just like,
That's people that's carrying over balances of debt.
yeah, it's a lot of money.
Because it's not really debt until it's unpaid. Till it goes past that
30.
statement. Yeah.
Past that 30. So people are literally, so what you're saying is even a lot of these people that look like they're doing good, they're just up to the eyeballs in debt.
Well, I wonder that.
Because a lot of money out there.
And if you're living in a $700,000 house and you've got a $80,000 pickup and a $60,000 car and an $80,000 boat,
It's a lot.
they either inherited a bunch of money, they've done very, very, very well, or they got a lot of debt.
Or they're behind $3,000-$4,000 a month.
They've got, they're at the end of the month, they're making probably pretty big money, but at the end of the month, they've got, a few $100s left.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot. Yeah, that's that's the American way.
And I mean, what household
That's the American
expenses
way.
are.
Oh yeah, they're good.
They're real numbers,
They're
man.
good. They're good. They really are good.
But as your, great line is, I just got to figure out how to make more money.
Oh yeah. Got to get more money, and that's what America's great at. Like you can just make more money, and if you don't figure that shit out, blame yourself.
If you want to put in the time, there are far more opportunities today to make money on second and third opportunities than ever before.
Look, I'll tell you like this. Anybody that's broke, here's my message. Anybody that's broke, if you have a car or a bike, go do Uber Drive, like Uber DoorDash. DoorDash, Uber Drive, where you just drop off little shit, whatever it is, right? Don't tell me that. Because you can make at least $100 bucks, probably $200. If you're in the big markets, $300-$400 a day. Don't give me that. Like a person doing that 6 days a week can easily be at $60K a year. So don't give me that, right? If you have a car,
plus some online things.
Yeah. But seriously, like even just the easy shit. You have a car and a phone. Go make money. Stop playing with yourself. Go make money. Go make more money. And I'm not saying that's like your get rich quick. I'm not saying that's a scheme. That's anything. No. That's just like one example of like, don't give me an excuse if you can't go make more money.
I mean, and you think, you go back to the 70s Amway pyramid scheme, kind of door-to-door chemicals.
Amway's still
and
around.
Stuff.
Amway's
it's still around, but it was huge back then.
Okay, I feel you.
And it was
like you could do something.
Yeah, you
could go do something.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a gazillion.
It's like when he says pyramid scheme, he's not like hating. He's just saying like network marketing. That's what people called it. Like, but you could actually go and just do some shit.
Today they've branded it as network marketing.
Yeah, hold up.
Pyramid scheme back in the day.
Pops, you have a lot of people mad at us right now. Okay, people are gonna be mad at us talking about some pyramid dog play. No, but seriously though. Like you really, there's too many ways to make money, and that's what America's about, man, land of opportunity in that type of way.
And I think that's there's two things that attract people to come here: A, land of opportunity, and B, at times our government has said, "Hey, come, we're going to give you a free phone, we're going to give you $3,000 on a credit card, and we're going to put you up in a 4-star hotel."
Yeah.
Until we figure this out.
Yeah, well, I just don't understand why I haven't just tried to rock. Why I should have just walked across the border the right way and got some of that benefit. I'm just playing, y'all. I don't want to be detained. But seriously though, yeah, I mean, it's wild. There's a difference in helping, and I mean, let's keep it real, right? If we keep it real, right, and you go like biblical, and you want to be more godly, right? The stranger, the traveler, the foreigner, the alien, you give your embrace to, and you be hospitable. And so, a phone, 3,000 and a 4-star in our society is hospitable. Okay. But also a lot of people, also the same people also say that we shouldn't be running our country off of morals of a Bible, or off of Christian morals, Islamic morals, Jewish morals. We should be running them off of just what the law says. Okay, so there comes your contradiction to where I'm just keep it real. A lot of the liberal, the Democrat side that wants to have open borders, right? They want to go against the law, which is having this closed border. And then on the other side, the conservatives that would be more like, hey, we want to run the country with the morality of a Christian, right? They want more of the closed borders, which is less Christian-like. Now somebody else could say the argument of, well, I'm sure you can find somewhere in the Bible that says you have to protect your kingdom, or you have to protect your nation or whatever against other people or intruders or whatever it may be, right? But I always find that kind of that shift of how isn't the universe great? How every which I think connection and every opinion is in some form a way of hypocrisy, is in some way trying to work with that battle you have inside of what I think is right and what I'm trying to project to the world or to the universe, right? And it's like, do I want to be the neighborly and embrace and bring in the foreigner, as the scripture would say, or do I need to be more protective and say, no, this is a new age, new time. These might be some bad hombres coming here, and I want to stop. And I don't want to be hospitable. I want to put up the wall.
So biblically, though, if you brought in that person, you brought them into your home.
Yes.
And they stayed in your home.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen nobody offering that.
Pops, hold on. Have you seen the video where they're in Britain, though? Okay, they're in Britain, and they're at this big march. Have you seen this? They're at this big march, and all the people are marching to basically have an open border in London, right? And let any foreigner in, da. And so then this guy, he's coming up. He's like, "Hey, yeah, so you want the open borders?" And they're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay, great. So we have this list here. And you sign up." And you just sign up here. We're going to house them at your house, so there'll be a refugee at your house because, we need more place to put them. It's like, oh, no, I don't have room.
No, I don't have room. I can't do that. Yeah.
I do this, or I rent, or I did. Not one person would sign it, right? So 100%, right? Again, it's hard, right? You're not putting them up in your home. You're not helping them in your home. Now, again, logically, we do have so many open spaces for people to go. And should we be, seriously though, like it's the new age, right? Things aren't, we don't ride donkeys, and we don't, we wear more than one fabric at a time and things, right? But, should we be looking at that as like we're just being godly, like we're just being godlike, is to refuge people?
But again, if we look at Jesus Christ,
mm-hmm. Let's take it back to JC. He
was the only perfect person, unsin, no sin. The rest of us, we're sinners.
Wasn't he kind of mean to bankers?
To tax collectors?
I mean, that was some angry through the table, or I don't know if it's true.
Only because they were, they were taking money unjustly.
Yeah, but he could have been more graceful with that move. But I don't know if it's even true. I'm just bullshitting. I'm just bullshitting here.
One of the disciples was a tax collector,
and he let him come on.
Yeah.
No, but I feel you 100%. Like but if we're living up to that, right? If we're trying to strive to live up to that, these are the battles I have, right? Because I tell myself, again, when I'm getting hard on immigration, I'm like, this is crippling maybe a school system, or this is crippling a hospital system, or this is crippling a part of the society. And should we, and it's the same thing with my group, right? Because I had to let a few boys go. And I said, I can't spend all of my time on them because it's taken away from the rest. And so but then I'm like, damn, am I not being godlike because I'm not accepting these boys and meeting them where they are and things? But then it's but if I'm letting go all these other boys that really need the attention, and they're really in it, and they're not getting what they need from me because of these few, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the inner struggle.
But those few, again, and not knowing the entire situation, but those few, they have to understand if you want to be in this group, these are the expectations. And if you can't meet those expectations, I can't help you.
So if you want to be in the country, in our group, in this nation, now that we've established, by whatever means, you have to meet these expectations, which are A, B, and C, and D, and here's how you enter.
And you have to come in legally. You have to
And
come
here's
through
how
a
you
port of
enter.
entry.
And here's how you enter.
I mean, there's people that have waited.
And you got to wait in line.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that have waited 10, 12, 13, 14 years to get here.
Yeah. Now, usually what happens when they say, hey, just all come over, right? They say, well, here's the loophole. You don't have to wait in line if your life is in danger, right? If you're going to be out here, if you're waiting in line is going to kill you, or somebody's going to come up and get. So, right, then we do all those loopholes.
Well, it's those refugee statuses for specific areas when things happen. But most of those things happen going back again because we screwed up their government.
Yeah.
Our government.
If we could reverse, turn back the hands of time.
Our government picking winners and losers.
Yes.
In other countries where we have zero business of trying to pick winners and losers.
No, we don't. Now, somebody may argue, right, in the defense, they'll say, oh, well, something like that would have happened anyways, and da-da-da. But since it didn't, and this is how history went right now, do we bear, okay, so we say we have some responsibility for our past of those people those administrations that did it. I'm not saying as citizens, we didn't have nothing to do with that. But then... So we're now, like you said, we're bearing the effects of that. Like you're kind of afraid of what we'll bear the financial effects of all the spending later on, 30 years from now, right? So now we're bearing the effects 30 years before of these horrible decisions made. Do we owe them something?
Is that you're asking my opinion?
I guess, yeah.
I don't think we owe them that. I don't think we owe them that because somehow along the line, they still enabled or allowed someone to take over their country. Now, I guarantee you that if we were overthrown by name something,
France,
that the public within the United States,
Germany,
who have oodles of guns and ammo,
we got a lot of guns,
would defend our country from that dictator taking over. You know, nobody says Trump's a dictator. Well,
no,
get real. I mean,
whatever.
People that are saying that don't even know what a dictator is.
Sure. It's hard to rebel or to fight against atomic bomb. I guess
But that's checkmate.
No, what I'm saying is
that's going to kill everybody.
But I guess what I'm saying is like in the back of my head, right? If I'm a nation, right? A rebel leader, whoever, whatever, right? And I'm in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s. I'm thinking like, shit, I'll end up like Japan out here. I end up like Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I better do what the hell they say. Like, like it's so hard to fight against like the biggest Goliath. But I mean, it literally is David and Goliath. And I know that, every now and again a David, slings a stone, right? Dare I say, like like what they did in Afghanistan.
But you think about it, we have people now saying that Trump's a bully. The United States have been a fucking bully forever on other countries. Yeah, the big. So don't. I mean,
no, it ain't changed.
Yeah.
No. It's always no. You're right.
As soon as you start casting stones, you live in a glass house too. I mean, it's bullshit.
No, you're right. We've been the biggest bully. Nothing changed. Nothing changed in Israel from then. Nothing changed. Don't give me that. Nothing changed. Barack did more bombs. Nothing changed. We are the
the biggest change we've had in my lifetime really
people call it a bully
was when Ronald Reagan said,
same thing.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall.
Yeah, that was a big change.
The biggest change that's really happened in the civilized industrial world was the reforming of the former Soviet Union, Russia, tearing down the wall, those Baltic states becoming independent.
Sure. To the outside world or to the outside people, and then probably the biggest change on the dark side would be the going off the gold standard, right?
Yeah.
Probably just that whole funny money type. But nobody really.
But there's some people that don't even know it.
Yeah.
They don't even understand the gold standard or
That's all behind the curtain. It's all behind the Oz, the curtain. But no, 100%. People, and again, that goes back to the polarization. That goes back to the messenger of people hate immigration law now, or because Trump is doing it and he's brash. the same way they call Trump a bully or a dictator or Hitler or a Nazi or whatever they want to say. But Trump ain't got shit on a death toll of whether you want to call Barack, whether you want to call Bill Clinton, whether you want to call your boy Bush, whether you want to
Bush.
Seriously though, like they don't have nothing on it. So if you're not upset and calling them Nazis, right? It is stupid to call President Trump one. Again, I'm not like I guess here's my thing, right? Big personalities don't bother me. And big confidence doesn't bother me, right? And this is like I'm in no way comparing football to world policy and bombing people at all. Okay, but I am comparing confidences and big personalities, right? So for example, like a Deion Sanders, big personality and confidence, and a Trump, big personality and confidence, right? Like these are people that have big personalities, confidence, and now again, like I'm not comparing it on that scale because I know it's not that scale, but that's part of where it's like the messenger, like he's not saying anything different or wrong, right? And I'm not saying that Trump isn't saying anything wrong, but it's not different. It's not different, right? It's a different delivery. It is a different delivery. It really is, and people hate that. And people hate that. So again, like
and we say
Trump isn't a Nazi and isn't a dictator, and Deion Sanders isn't ruining college football.
Yeah, and we say people hate that, but Trump got more votes than Barack Obama. Trump got more votes than Hillary Clinton. Trump,
Sure.
So
you're right. Deion Sanders sold more tickets than any. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is Deion Sanders and Nick Saban? No,
Nick Saban is. It's crazy. It's crazy though because like.
Or is he a Tom Osborne?
No, definitely not a Tom Osborne. Yeah, that's a way better comparison, right? He's not a Tom Osborne. It's crazy because like I've seen Nick Saban like literally go crazy in interviews. What I mean by that is be so frustrated and be yelling and cussing in an interview and just loses his shit, his cool, right? And like nobody demonized him for it. It's weird. And I've never seen Sanders cuss at a reporter as a coach, cuss at a reporter and berate a reporter. As a player, he dumped like some water on a guy. He did some other shit, but he was a young guy, But as a man, as a grown man, real man, it's totally different. It's wild.
It's kind of like to hear Tom Osborne cuss.
You'll never hear Tom Osborne cuss, man. Tom Osborne, it's so wild to me because I don't agree with Tom on like a lot of political things, but I tell you what, Tom Osborne must be the most mild-mannered, a caring person, just because it don't matter who you talk about. You find me one person that had interaction with Tom Osborne that can say an ill word about him as a personal man, as a personal person. That is an accomplishment.
Well, even his players,
every player, you can't find one. You can't find one player. Show me a player that played for Nebraska under Tom Osborne that's going to talk shit about Tom Osborne.
I mean, he just
like you just can't.
There's a godly man who walked the walk, talked the talk, and Tom would probably be the first person to say, "But I was a long ways from perfect."
Oh yeah,
and I was a sinner.
Oh yeah,
I'm not the perfect man.
Oh yeah, big Tom, man. Tom, but I love me some Tom.
Well, and
I don't even.
His team meets program that's still going today is phenomenal to me.
Oh yeah, it is.
The amount of kids, that he's impacted their lives. Mm-hmm. And the amount of money he raised for those kids to impact their lives.
Tom Osborne, really quick. Tom Osborne, a guy that the whole nation gave up on in Lawrence Phillips. The whole darn nation. And this is before things could go viral because it wasn't the internet like that, but it was viral, y'all. Lawrence Phillips scaled the apartment building of this place in Lincoln, Nebraska to find him and his girlfriend or the girl he's talking to with a backup quarterback in Nebraska, Mr. Scott Frost. And Scott scared, jumps out the thing, runs away. Hey, Lawrence Phillips is no joke looking. And allegedly, Lawrence Phillips assaults the lady. Horrible, right, is what I hear. Now, he goes to jail. Scott Frost goes to Stanford.
Well, no, Scott was back from
Oh,
Stanford.
he was already back.
He was back from Stanford.
I heard he bounced.
No.
Okay, I'm wrong. I'm wrong about that. Scott Frost stayed low. He left. He stayed low.
He was on the scout team that year.
He was just on the scout team. He was just a scout guy.
He was a scout team because he came back from Stanford.
He came back. He had to just wait. He was sitting out his time.
Yeah, and he was on the scout team getting the shit kicked out of him every day because he left Nebraska. I mean,
then he took it over for Bobby Newcomb the next season, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Bobby played a few games and then he took over. I didn't like how they pulled Bobby. Bobby didn't do nothing wrong. But anyways, okay, because Scott was going to be next. Okay, so Scott's hoping. Anyways, so he assaults this young lady allegedly, and then he spends some time in jail. He has to do this, all these things. And everybody in the whole world is saying, kick Lawrence Phillips off the football team. He should never play football again. He's a horrible person. He's a horrible man, all this and all this. Lawrence Phillips did have some definitely struggles. He had some definitely mental struggles.
Had some anger issues for women for how he was raised. I mean,
he came from really just bad places. Well, came from hard places. I don't want to say bad places, but hard places. And he had a lot of trauma. He just had a lot of trauma. And the things we know about trauma now are things that Dr. Tom Osborne was tapped into back then.
Doctor of psychology.
He was tapped into these trauma issues, and he knew this. And then he knew that if you took away the only thing that this man had, it would kill him. The only thing he had was football, and the only thing he had was his team. And Dr. Tom Osborne said, I'm not going to give up on this kid. And Lawrence Phillips did everything he could and was supposed to do for months. And, when things work out through the court systems, then at some point, how long do you hold on to someone?
Well,
how long do you hold on after the court things are done?
Tom didn't give up on him. Tom's the one who talked to the Rams about drafting him.
But really quick, they said he shouldn't play anymore.
I know.
And then he was able to play. Tom let him come back and play in the national championship game for that Florida game.
And we didn't need him to win.
We didn't need him to win. We did not need him to win.
But Tom gave him very specific check marks that he had to get to.
A whole bunch.
To do it.
A whole bunch.
And he did it all.
And he had to be a man of his word.
He was a man of his word.
Let the kid play. And he let him shine, because if he wouldn't played, he wouldn't have been able to be as high as a draft pick he was for St. Louis. He probably would have still went, because everybody knows how phenomenal he was. But he wouldn't have been as high as a draft pick. So Tom that is a man understanding second chances, understanding grace, understanding, right, that you need to give people grace and forgiveness and let them work to reestablish themselves, right? And I mean, that is a beautiful thing that he was able to he was transgressing football, right? It wasn't about football.
Tom Osborne was a rich man.
Mm-hmm. Is a rich man.
And still is.
Is a rich man. Is a rich man.
God bless T.O. I mean, he's, God bless him. I mean, I don't think Memorial Stadium's big enough. When he happens to pass, I don't think Memorial Stadium will be big enough to handle the folks that will attend his service.
Yeah, no, most definitely.
I mean, we talked about Nick Saban earlier. Yeah. So Nick Saban was coaching at Michigan State.
I know this.
Oh, yeah.
I love this story. Tell it.
And, Nebraska beat him bad. Tom Izzo was at the game, too, with him.
And really quick, this was the game that Lawrence Phillips played. This is the game before he got suspended.
Yep.
It's the game before he got suspended. It's crazy, right?
It's a home game before they got suspended.
Okay, he got one more in Oklahoma State then after that?
No, he come back, I think it was UCLA. Come back from the UCLA road game. Because he was coming back from road game. Frost didn't go.
Oh, that's what happened. Oh, yeah. Okay. His last home game.
We Nebraska Cornhuskers were really good.
Really good.
We really throttled Michigan State, who had a pretty good team. They really did. And after the game, Nick Saban's really upset and is really kind of down. And Tom just says, "Hey, Nick, we've got a pretty good football team this year. I think you've got a good football team too. We're just really good this year."
Yeah, you're not that bad.
Yeah, I mean,
we're just that good, guys. You're not that bad. I think it was 56-17, or was it 72-17?
I think it was 56.
It was 56-17,
but it was
something
the 17. I think we gave them 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Of course, our by the halftime, by the third quarter, end of the third quarter, middle of the third quarter, we always had our second, third strings. Yeah,
I mean, our big 70. What was it in Minnesota? I think we scored 70-some points. And they had to put Mike Rozier back in because we were on the road. The other two backs were tired.
Oh, my God.
They had to put
Look,
Michael Heisman back in the game.
No joke. This was serious. Nebraska, the reason why so many records are able to be beaten out in Nebraska, literally, is because, and especially in that stretch after Frank Solich left, like so many records are able to be beaten, is because we used to be so good that you couldn't play 3/4.
Yeah.
The starters couldn't play a full 3/4.
They didn't have to.
That's what I'm saying. We're so good. We'd be above, ahead so much that we get the backups in way before that.
I think that's why we have more injuries now.
Oh, yeah.
The starters.
Because they're just playing way more reps, way more snaps.
Way
more
the
snaps.
game's faster. It's a different game. But yeah, it's phenomenal stuff. But
that's good. Yeah. But so Dr. Tom Osborne, again, when it comes to a man and a coach, I guess we just had to go on a tangent about and laud over how great of a person that he was. Or is. One more story. I was at a place where they were doing a documentary, and Dr. Tom was there, and there was another gentleman there, and he was telling a story and things, and this gentleman had went to, it was a Ricky, gosh, I'm forget his last name. I can't believe that. I want to say Smiley, but it's not. Anyways,
Ricky Williams?
No, for Nebraska. He
Oh,
played
for Nebraska.
I thought his name was Ricky. Maybe I'm tripping. But he played. He played with the Urban Fryer. He played
Rick Burns.
Dang. So I must be saying his name wrong. Goodness gracious. He's always on my Facebook too. But this brother, he was a tailback, or like a split end, and he played with Urban Fryer. He played with goodness, can't remember his name coming to me. But anyways, he played with Mike Rozier, and he played with
Turner
Gill. And so, yeah, he was in that game, right? He actually, goodness, can't believe I can't remember his name. But he picked up Urban Fryer after Urban dropped the first one. And goodness gracious.
I know you're talking about.
Oh, man. Goodness gracious. Anyways, man, it's going to come to me too. But so that brother, he gets in trouble. He's from Greenville, Texas. He gets done with Nebraska. He goes on and plays. This is when there was the NFL, but then there was also what was the league that was
USFL.
USFL. That was like a big thing back then.
Yeah, because that's where Mike Rozier got drafted to.
Okay, so it was a big thing. So he went and played there for a couple of years, and then he ends up playing with the Dolphins a couple of years as well and things. But so anyways, he went to jail for like cocaine possession, or he was into drugs and things like that. And he had to do some real time, for some things that he was doing. And while he was in jail, one day he's in penitentiary, locked up. He's like a year into it or 2 years into it.
But here, he was in penitentiary in the U.S. No,
he's in penitentiary in freaking like in
Texas
Texas
or Florida
somewhere.
or something.
Some shit like that. Way away. And he says, he's feeling down, all this, and then one day, his cellmate was like, "Hey, you got some mail or whatever?" And he's like, "Man, I don't want to see no mail or whatever." And he's like, "Okay, whatever." And he said he finally looked at it. He said it's from Dr. Tom Osborne, sending him a piece of mail. He said he didn't even open it for like a couple weeks because he felt so, just ashamed and other things, right? And he finally opened it. He said, Dr. Tom just talked to him and in the letter and told him, "Hey, if you need anything, if I can do anything for you," and all these things. He's like, I didn't even know that this guy knew that I existed still, right? And I'm in jail and he throws me a letter.
Lawrence Phillips. Tom goes through all that, retires, runs for Congress, becomes the AD. Mm-hmm. Remember when he was the interim AD? Mm-hmm. We were going to California. I think we went out there to play UCLA. Tom goes out there to the game, and he goes a day early to go visit Lawrence in the penitentiary. And then Lawrence, it wasn't like a month later, and he killed himself.
Yeah.
And, and that was 20-some years removed.
Way after a lot of things have happened to Lawrence.
It's just the way
he just cares.
He just cares about people.
He just cares.
I mean, you talk about a disciple.
Sure. I mean, hey, look, if you care about, if you can live your life just caring about people and working to do the right thing, that's definitely him. Whether you agree with things or not, it's not about always agreeing with the person or what they want to do, but it is about being cordial and being caring to that person, right? Because even if Tom didn't agree with what I was doing, I bet he would be caring towards me.
Well, absolutely. And you talk about, there's three things that you can always give. It's, biblically it's talked about. You can give, I just forgot now. Time, talent, and treasure. 3 T's you can give. Mm-hmm. Treasure is probably the worst one. Because it's the shortest lived piece, typically. If you can give somebody time, your valuable time, it's probably worth more than your treasure. If you can give your talents, it's probably worth more than any treasure you could give to that person for the long term.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you said your time is worth $1,000 an hour. So if you gave into your group $1,000 an hour for every hour that you spent with that group, how much money would they have at the end?
Yeah.
Probably zero. But you give them your time and your talent, and you have created some great young men out of that.
Yes.
And they're going to be great young men for a long time because they're young men.
Church.
So
Church.
that time and talent gift, it's no different than
Outweighs that treasure.
absolutely anytime you can give somebody something. It's not about a monetary value. I don't look at it as a monetary value. I think I'm a pretty good giving person.
Yeah.
But I like to give people my time and talent and
Yes.
and surprises and those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I enjoy it. That's
Yeah.
kind of my personality. That's kind of who I am.
Definitely.
But if everybody would do that more so, we could have a better world.
Oh yeah. Most definitely. Most definitely.
So
Most definitely. No, that's what it's about.
wow,
That's about to give it that time. Give it that talent. I know where
we're
at.
$140 in, man.
Oh,
Woo!
yeah, we be getting in.
That
We be
went
getting in.
quick.
Oh yeah, we be getting it in. We be getting it in. I love that. I love that really piece really quick just because people think that they have to be rich to give. Right? They think they have to be, and they have to just start thinking past monetarily. Stop thinking so monetarily about everything. Really. And then once you can stop thinking about monetarily about everything, other things can just open up.
Yeah, well, it just opens up life to where you can really be rich. So,
That's what it's about.
man, peace out.
Get it in.
I have to tell you, I apologize. I mean, I've been busy, and Ishma's been busy, and we haven't been as consistent as we were hoping to be.
They don't even know that we skipped a beat.
I know, but
They don't know we skipped a beat. Hey, peep this really quick. Pops has the Vegas Knights winning the whole NHL. I got the Denver Nuggets winning the whole NBA thing. Give us some good energy towards the Knights. Give me some good energy towards these Nuggets, and let's go. Tell us who you think's gonna win the NFL, or excuse me, the NBA. Tell us who you think's gonna win the NHL, and we'd like to see that in the comments. I think next time we'll get into some other I think pop culture controversies that happened, but it was really good to get a thorough kind of review of where our money was going, because everybody, the money issue's been big right now. The tariffs, the money, the Doge. It's cool to get a really good review of where the money's going, and you look that up again. That's facts. What was that? Facts? Look, I done messed it up.
USAFacts.org,
There it
I
is.
believe.
USAFacts.org. Check it out.
And we'll post it. Yeah.
USAFacts.org. Check that out. Check out the comments. Like Pop said, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all, right?
And probably nobody has more fun doing this than Ishma and I. So we hope you guys enjoy it. This is a great reason for him and I to get together more often. And we love talking about stuff and some fun topics. And that's kind of how this whole thing started. Ish was like, we should do a podcast. I'm like, I'm down. Let's do it.
Do it.
So love y'all. Peace out.
Peace.
And
We'll see y'all next time.
have a blessed day, everybody.
No agenda, no bull crap, just real conversations. Thank you for joining us for the Middle of the Street podcast.